Welcome back. Well, today I am joined by Dr. John Hovannessian, who is here on behalf of Harvard Eye Associates. Well, welcome back.
Great to see you, Lisa. It's good to be here.
Well, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it. And an interesting subject, because I don't think we really think about this, especially, well, I certainly didn't when I had children. And now we're looking at potentially having problems with eyesight if you don't have enough sunshine. Is that what that article is saying?
There's a lot of interesting developments that are happening and that we're discovering, and particularly since the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And one is that nearsightedness is becoming a real epidemic globally in children. And now 40% of kids in the US age 6 to 19 are nearsighted. And in Asia, the number is twice as high. It's almost 80% of kids are nearsightedness.
Oh, now what is causing this?
So a number of things. First of all, maybe we should discuss what nearsightedness is. Nearsightedness happens when the eye is effectively too long for the way it focuses. Another way to think of it is how you see. So if you can see up close pretty clearly without glasses, but you have a hard time seeing things far away, you can't see road signs, that's a good indication you're nearsighted, right? And this can happen, usually it develops at a fairly young age in our childhood or teenage years, and then carries on all our life unless we have surgery that corrects it.
Right.
But we think it's a problem of growth of the eye. And that can be a problem not just because we need to wear glasses. Glasses or contact lenses or surgery can correct nearsightedness, but the problem is it's also associated with other problems. Retinal detachment is a common occurrence that happens because as the eye grows too long, it may, the tissues become sort of elongated and thinned, and it can lead to a number of problems in the back of the eye, including a type of macular degeneration that happens in nearsighted people.
Oh, interesting. That is... And you wouldn't think it, I mean, I guess like I said earlier, I wouldn't have thought that it would start as young as your kids.
Yeah, age 6, I mean, we're seeing kids that are more and more nearsighted across our society. So why is it happening? We certainly think that screens have something to do with it. We also think that not being outdoors enough has something to do with it. And so some of the recommendations that we're making are to have children spend no more than 2 hours a day on screens. Now that's tough when they're in school, right? Because in school they're on screens a lot, and when they get homework, it's usually on a screen.
Right.
But the other element is to probably spend at least 2 hours a day outside. And the reason for that is kind of twofold. Number one, the sunlight, the broad spectrum of bright light, drives the production of dopamine that seems to stop the overgrowth of the eye, seems to inhibit the development of nearsightedness.
Interesting.
And the other thing is that when we read for prolonged periods of time, it's driving this process in the eye for kids that causes the eye to grow. It's like it's a compensating mechanism for the eye to grow. But when you're outdoors, there's lots of distractions that make you look up. What's that bird doing? What's the dog doing? And so there's kind of they describe a 20-20-20 rule to maintain your 20-20 vision. So every 20 minutes, spend 20 seconds looking at least 20 feet away. That's the 20-20 rule. So every 20 minutes, 20 seconds looking 20 feet away, or more than 20 feet away. So that allows your eye to relax its muscles of what we call accommodation. So we lessen that drive toward nearsightedness. And when you're outside with kids, it kind of just happens by itself, whether you do something about it or not.
Right. Now, if the children are outside, does it make sense for them to wear sunglasses, or should they not?
Great question. If they're facing bright light, yes. But if they're in a shaded area where they can comfortably read, without too much brightness, then it's not absolutely necessary. So,
all right.
Right.
So how does it differ? Like, for instance, I know if you're reading a book versus looking at your screen, is it because of that light that's in the screens that's causing the issue?
Yeah, well, it's probably not the light, it is probably the distance. And the same can be true for reading a book as well. It's just that kids don't usually read paper books. I don't think there's anything magical about a screen versus a book that makes a big difference. But so limiting that reading time, limiting that usually screen time probably makes the biggest difference.
Which is the hardest thing, because your kids come home from school and what do they want to do? They want to play the games.
That's right. Yeah, I have a 13-year-old, and he would spend all his time on screens.
Yeah.
You know, if we let him, and
So we'll just have to go to the old-fashioned situation where
Yeah.
if the children come to visit, take them outside to go do something,
Yeah.
and then they can play with their games.
Yep,
So.
that's right. Yeah, kick them out. And some people have in their homes, they have screen-free zones. You know, so here is a room where you can't use your screen. We're that way at the dinner table for sure. The minute a phone comes out, my wife comes down hard on that.
Ah, yes, good. That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
It is indeed. So
That's
we're paying
good.
attention to each other rather than our little rectangles that we
Well,
hold in our
exactly. I
hands.
mean, that's something we've always tried, but I think that's a
Yeah.
good idea to get outside, no matter what. Even, you know, for your eyesight, for your health,
You bet.
all sorts of things. So
You
good.
bet.
So Little Bird told me something about you.
Oh?
And I am very happy to accommodate you and say congratulations.
Oh?
You were the recipient of the Ophthalmologist 2023 Power List.
Yeah,
And I
thanks.
think that's the 100 most influential people worldwide in eye care from a UK publication called The Ophthalmologist.
Yeah, thanks.
So did you physically receive the award? or-
Well, I received it by notification, I guess. So
Okay.
there wasn't a ceremony or a plaque or anything like that so much as just recognition. It's nice because it's a recognition of my peers. You know, it's the
Absolutely.
greatest honor is when our peers recognize us.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm surrounded by just I'm so grateful for the wonderful trust and confidence our patients have put in us. Over the years, and also for my colleagues. You know, the folks I work with, not just at Harvard Eye, but beyond. Ophthalmology is a wonderful profession, and we have here in Orange County the Silicon Valley of eye care, so much great new technology that we get to offer our patients.
Right.
So it's a real pleasure and an honor to be recognized in that way, and thank you.
You're welcome. Well, it's well deserved. You're always a wealth of information, and I'm sure you share that information, you know, around the world.
I tried to. Thanks very much.
You're welcome, and congratulations.
Thanks.
If you want more information about anything that Harvard Eye is doing, you can always go to their website, which is harvardeye.com, or you can call them at 949-951-2020.